Welcome to Hancock's VMware Half Hour. And welcome back to another episode of Hancock's VMware Half Hour. Well, I'm going to get straight into it. We're going to continue with our theme of the critical zero-day vulnerability, which was reported, and a patch was published by Broadcom on the 4th of March 2025. And if you don't know about this, then, well, I think you can only be living under a rock, because the internet really is sort of kind of blown up about this zero-day vulnerability and the issues that it's been causing, primarily with people that don't have support agreements. Anyway, so in the previous videos, in part 79 and 80, if you're on ESXi 7.0, we've covered the dirty method of updating to 7.03s for sugar, and in part 86 and 87, we've covered ESXi 8.03, upgrading that to 8.03d using the dirty method or the over-the-air method. If you've got internet access, if you're standalone without VMware vCenter server, then you can patch OTA, over the air, direct from the internet with no issues. However, if you don't have access to the internet and you can't do an OTA upgrade, or you're using VLCM and your VLCM with vCenter server doesn't have access to the internet anyway, then this is another method for you. This is using the depot file, which is available from Broadcom for 6.7, 7 and 8. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to use the depot file to update ESXi 6.7. Yes, 6.7. And it's interesting because the official VMSA 2025-004 security announcement from Broadcom about this specifies that VMware ESXi product version 8 has an issue. ESXi 7 has an issue, VMware Workstation has an issue, but it doesn't actually list 6.7 as having an issue. I don't know why. I know 6.7 is end of life, but Broadcom have decided, because this zero-day critical update is so bad, and it's been discovered in the wild and being used in the wild, that they have actually basically issued a patch for 6.7 and 6.5. So it's a bit strange that it's not covered in VMFA SA 2025-004. But if you're on 6.7 or if you're on 6.5, there is a patch for it. And there is a separate release note for this as well. So it's a bit odd that it's not covered in the original VMSA 2025-004 announcement. I don't really know why. You'd have to ask Broadcom. But anyway, so there is an official VMware ESXi 6.7 patch release. There is also an official 6.5 patch release as well, but that is only available to customers that are on an extended support agreement. So if you're on 6.5 and you're on an extended support agreement, then there is a patch available for you, a depot file. You can follow exactly the same steps that I'm going to show you in this video. This is for 6.7, but if you substitute the file names and use exactly the same commands, then you can update 6.5 as well. And you can use exactly the same commands and different files for 7.0 and 8.0 as well for any depot file, and do exactly the same thing. But I will do videos for 7.0 and 8.0 because I know that you ask, do you have a video for 7 or 8? So we're going to get into this. So again, I've already got SSH sessions into a 6.7 host, and this is running 6.70 build 230.84122. Now, some of you out there might not be on this release, because again, this was a release that was it was not a baked ISO release. It was again another patch release in 2024 by Broadcom. So you may not be on this release, but doesn't matter. Using a depot file, they're going to show you today, will upgrade, uplift any version to the 2025 version of 6.70. So if you watched these videos before, then I've done a VMware space dash V, which shows me the version, and I'm going to use tail space dash s var log ESXupdate.log, so I can basically get a eyeball on what the ESX update log file is doing and whether or not we're going to get any errors. And then the next thing I'm going to do, and this is a question that often comes up, people have asked me, well, how do I know what profile to choose? Because we'll need the profile in the next command that we use to update ESXi 6.7. So the command that I'm using is ESXi space software space profile space update dash P, a minus sign P, followed by the, got that wrong already. Okay, apologies. So let's just rewind there. The command that I'm going to use to display the profile in the depot file is ESXi space software space sources space profile space list dash D, minus sign D, and then the path to your depot file. Now it's rather odd because in 6.5 and 6.7 the depot files don't have the word depot in them. Normally they do, but for some reason in 6.5 and 6.7 they don't. So again, and I'm going to repeat this again because I've got many people ask me, they say that they can't see the commands that I'm typing. I have replayed these videos and I have looked at these videos on my phone and on a PC, and I can see quite easily the commands that I'm typing, and that's why I actually basically also spell them out to you as well, and hopefully you can understand my accent. So again, ESXi space software space sources space profile space list dash D, followed by the path to your depot file, which normally we would store on a data store. So in this particular case, /VMS /volumes /data store 1, that's the friendly name of my data store, followed by the depot file, which in this particular case, the depot file for 6.7, and we'll have a look in the patch release here. So the download file name is ESX670-2025-03001-zip. And I'm just actually going to go back to this session here just to refresh this so it doesn't time out. And this is actually basically logged in to our ESX 6.7 host. And when that refreshes, we can see here that it also turns around and tells us that it's running ESXi 6.70 2024 0304001-standard. So back to our SSH sessions. So I'm now just going to hit enter, and that's going to have a little think about it, and it's actually going to show us the profiles that are available in our depot file that we can use to update. Now I have explained this before in the previous video. Quite simply, -standard includes VMware tools. Often when an ESXi host is updated, the VMware tools are also updated at the same time. So we would normally use the ESXi-67-0-2025-0304001-standard profile. If for some reason you wanted to use the other profile, -no tools, then you would use that version. So that's where the profiles come from, because it has been a question that's been asked. Where do I find the profiles? You can also find the profiles in the release notes as well. So if you don't have the release notes to hand, then you can use that previous command. So like with all other commands, when we've done videos with the dirty method or the OTA, over the air method, we use the same command. So again, we're using ESXi software profile update. Now this is another question that comes up. Some people basically turn around and say, well, can you use install? You can use profile install, or you can use profile update. So ESX software profile update -P. Now this is where we specify the profile name. So that's the profile name from above, ESXi -6.7.0 2025-03-04-001 standard. You probably hear that blackbird in the background there. There's one thing that noise cancelling doesn't do, and that's filter out bird song. So just listen carefully. You can hear a blackbird singing in the background. I'm not outside in the shed, although I probably have more space in there. I've got my windows open because it's really, really warm in the lab here. It's stopped. Maybe it's singing because it can hear me. Anyway, okay, I digress. So that's the profile, followed by -D, and basically we have the path to the depot file. I'm going to use a -no-hardware-warning. I don't think this particular host is going to balk because it's got an unsupported CPU. And if you've watched these videos before, you know that I like to do a --dry run. So I'm going to do a --dry run, followed by enter. We're going to start to see the top screen there, scroll up with lots of stuff, and it's going to finish. And if we have a little look here, the update result message, dry run only, host not changed, the following installers will be applied. So if we didn't have the --dry run option, then our host will be updated and then we could do a reboot. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing again, but this time I'm actually basically going to delete the dry run and I'm going to hit enter. This probably isn't going to take very long, I wouldn't have thought, because the ESX 6.7 ISO or update is not that big, and 6.7 really is not as large. The footprint's not as large really as 7 and 8, so this is fairly quick. So while that's happening, while that's doing that, if it takes any longer than this, I'll speed this up in post, but I'll just remain quiet and you might be able to hear that blackbird. I think it's a blackbird. Could be wrong. Could be a great tip. Okay, so that's how it'll look. The update completed successfully, but the system needs to be rebooted. Yes, as per normal. Reboot required, true. So I'm just going to drop back to our host here, and I'm going to issue a reboot, followed by that, and our SSH sessions will get disconnected. We'll try logging in again. So we'll give that a few seconds to reboot. And just another reminder that please don't ask me for the depot files. If I have no distribution rights to give you software that basically is owned by Broadcom. The depot files, if available to you, will be available in the Broadcom portal. If you have entitlements, i.e. you have a current contract and you have a site ID for support for 6.7, 7 or 8.0. I cannot give you the depot files. I get many requests daily. Can you give us the depot files? Can you give us depot files? No, I can't. I'm sorry. I will be breaking the end user license agreement that we have with Broadcom if I was distributing the depot files. And again, you only need to use the depot files if you don't have access to the internet. Unfortunately, 6.7 and 6.5 are, because they're end of support, you can no longer use the OTA method, the dirty method, to update these. So you are going to have to rely on having a support contract for 6.5 or 6.7 to be able to use the depot files to update these hosts. So I'm hoping with that our host has restarted. So if I go back and do it does actually say the host is rebooting. Let's do a refresh, and that's login. Let's just big X out of that. Okay, so if we now look at our host, it says updated ESXi 6.7.0-2025-03-04-001, and just really to prove that If I just restart a putty session here and do a VMware-V, then you can see that the build number has changed. And if we just go back up to I'll just check and see whether or not that I did a VMware-V in this session here, so you can see the difference. Maybe it wasn't, maybe it was a session. So VMware ESXi 6.7-0 build 245.14018. If we just roll back up here, I did a VMware-V on here somewhere. Can't easily see it. No, can't easily see it. Not that spending a lot of time on it. But anyway, so there you go. That's how we update ESXi 6.7 to the latest build of ESXi 6.7 patch release ESXi 67-2025-03001, which fixes our critical 0-day update using a depot file. Now, obviously, previously I've uploaded that depot file using WinSCP or SSH or SFTP or whatever tools that you use to the data store. I've enabled SSH on that host so that I can actually basically log in and perform that update. So simple and quick, 16 minutes. So again, thanks very much for watching another episode of Hancock's VMware Half Hour. If you've liked this video, then please give it a thumbs up. But whatever you do, don't forget to subscribe. And if you don't like this video, then, well, don't like it and please thumbs down. But come back again to watch me repeat the procedure for 7.0, where we update 7.0 to 7.03S for sugar using a depot file, and come back when we do exactly the same again for ESXi 8.03C to 8.03D. So once again, thanks very much for watching, and goodbye and good afternoon to you. Goodbye now.